A very good evening to all my dear students. So you all have gathered here for today's CA Inter-Law session for Audit and Auditors. On behalf of ICAI, welcome all of you children. And I hope you have revised the chapter that we have just completed on Monday, that is Accounts of Companies. Now, since we have learned how we have made the accounts, how we have made the books and papers, documents, everything, section 128 onwards, we have learned how the revision of financial statements was happening, how the board's report has been made. And till section 138, we have, you are not supposed to unmute in between children. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hands and I'll give you a chance to unmute and speak. All right. And we have learned about 138, how the internal auditor is appointed. And now from that internal auditor thing that we have started, we'll be moving towards chapter 10, that is audit and auditors. So a very good evening to all of you, those who have written beautiful wishes in the chat box, Sanya, Bhumika, Neeru, Anuradha, Preeti Kumari, Lahari Maruju, Nanda, Tambeshwari. Good evening, children. Mahi, Khushi, Prakriti, all of you, welcome to the class. Hardik, Ajay Surya, all of you. Somebody has unmuted themselves. Please keep yourself on mute. You're not supposed to unmute unless I ask you. Yes, we'll be doing audit and auditors today. Technical support mic. Let me just put everyone on mute. Yeah, it's now on mute. All right. Thank you, Manvi, for telling us. All right. Yes, Preeti Kumari, it is the main subject which come under your chapter of audit also. And this chapter, the most interesting part of audit and auditors is it defines who you are going to be, my budding future chartered accountants. So all the students who are going to be CAs one day, they are going to do the audits or they're going to be in jobs. Most of the time, you will be finding this field in which you go for practice, that you will be doing auditing of different companies. You'll be forming partnership firms for audits. So it's a very, very interesting chapter. It defines the chartered accountant itself, who we are, the profession that we'll be handling once we become CAs. That is the chapter of audit and auditors, how the auditor is appointed, how he is removed, how he resigns from his job, what are the duties, how the audit report is prepared, what are the important contents that you need to check. So I was telling your children that you have learned accounts of companies with me. You have done how the accounts are prepared. Now we are going to learn that how an independent body from outside come and try to review our accounts. They will try to find whether all the accounts have been properly compliant with the accounting standards, have we done the work properly or not, if the internal controls that we have put are into place or not. Like we discussed about national financial reporting. Okay. The same way we'll be discussing about the auditors. And then auditors will come and see how, yes, Nifara, we have already done Nanda Goel. And now we'll be discussing in detail how the auditor and independent body comes and examines how the accounts have been maintained, how the things are being done. And at the end, they prepare their audit report in detail and try to present it to the organization so that whatever are the mistakes, whatever are the things they can find out, and report is being updated and informed to the company. So all these kinds of things we are going to learn in this chapter number 10, that is Audit and Auditors. Section 139 is going to define how the auditor is appointed. So the appointment of auditor is divided into two categories. One is the first auditor, how the first auditor comes and he holds the office till the first AGM, and how the subsequent auditor is appointed. After that, we'll be discussing section number 140, that is removal and resignation of auditor. Here we'll be talking about giving of special notice also. If you have done the chapter of MGT children, management and administration, you would have read about this word special notice. This is the terminology that defines that how a special notice under 115 section If I'm not, you would have read about it, how the AGMs are held, how the EGM is held, and how the special notice is sent. Remember, 115, 1% of the voting power of more than 5 lakh share capital, paid up share capital are the people who are going to send this notice. Excellent, Hardik Marwa. You remember the provision also. Very good. So this is all about your special notice, which we are going to cover. Who are the people who are going to send the special notice for the removal of the auditors under 140? Who is eligible and qualified to be appointed as an auditor? Very, very important section number 141. Who can be appointed as an auditor? So I briefly told you it is the role of a chartered accountant. A chartered accountant is appointed as an auditor. All right, a CA can be appointed as an auditor. So if I ask you that any other profession, if in a CA firm, a banker is also working, there is a banker who has done a banking qualification. He has done a course in banking. He's a BCom graduate, but he's not a CA. Can this banker can be appointed as an auditor? Can you appoint this person as an auditor? The answer is no. Section 141 strictly defines who are the people who can be appointed as an auditor. All right, so CA is must because the audit has to be signed. Yes, CA having a COP is only the auditor. Those who are giving two groups, it's a blessing. This chapter is a blessing for them because they're already preparing for the chapter of auditing. And then you can take the help from this chapter also. Yes, Lahori Maruju, definitely he can assist, but he cannot be appointed as the auditor. Abhishek Mishra says, yes, if you become CA. So if you become CA, then definitely he can be appointed. But if your CA is in service, he's not into practice, then also he cannot be appointed as the auditor. In order to be appointed as the auditor, you need to have a certificate of practice in hand also. All right. So section 142 will be defining about your remuneration of the auditor. What is the kind of salary that we need to pay to the auditor? How the fees of the auditor is determined? What all points to be considered while determining the fees of the auditor? Then we'll be discussing the powers and duties of the auditor, what rights have been given to him, what is his duties, and under section 143, what are the segments of the audit report. An auditor is bound to review and do vouching of different financial statements. You know, it is a very tedious task for the auditor to prepare the audit report because he has to see from the very scratch how the books have been prepared. Why do you think there is a need of appointing the auditor? Can you think about that? I am a company, ABC Limited. I have prepared my financial statements worth rupees crores. So there is a turnover of 10 crores. There is a borrowings of 15 crores. There's a paid up share capital of 1,000 crore. I'm such a big business I'm doing. There can be a chance of error in which I have committed a mistake. So while preparing my profit and loss account, while booking all my entries, have I done all the work correctly or not? That is the role and responsibility of an auditor to ensure that there is no misleading information, nothing has been prepared wrong. The books represent true and fair view. My profit and loss account is reflecting whatever is the true and fair view. Shareholders who have invested hard money, yes, Ritika Gupta, because they want to be assured that their money is safe. That's why an independent person is appointed who comes and checks your financial statement. So section 144 provides you certain prohibited services. For example, it says that an auditor cannot prepare the books of accounts. If I am an auditor of ABC Limited and I only prepare your books of accounts, then there is no chance of finding an error because I'll believe that whatever work I have done it nicely. How can I find a mistake in my own work? So if a child has given exam, question paper has been given to him and he has answered it. So the child feels that I'm going to get 60 plus marks. But when the teacher checks the work, it is either 70 plus or it is just 40 plus. Now, why this happened? Because teacher has checked the exam from her perspective. Either you have performed very well and you were just expecting 60, you got 70. Or you have not performed that well, but you were overconfident expecting to be 60. But when an independent body came and reviewed your work, they found many errors in it and it was close to 40. So this is the need of having an independent body because whatever we are doing, whatever work we are doing, try to give 100% and we try to prepare the financials absolutely fine. But then when an independent body comes, it tries to check the work. If there's any scope of errors, they will highlight it, and also they can give you discussions, they can give you suggestions and points for improvement, how the things can be made better. Yes, he's an independent person. Absolutely correct. Pallavi, Mahi, all of you, those who have written. Nanda Goel, Mahi. Good. So he's an independent person, and signing of audit report is section 145. Then we will be see whether auditor is required to attend the annual general meeting. What is AGM? AGM is your annual general meeting, and EGM is your extraordinary general meeting. Punishment provisions are given under section 147. It is again very, very important provisions of the penalties and punishments of auditors. You must learn it because it is important. And then 148 exclusively talks about your cost audit. So this session of audit and auditors is divided into 3 sessions. That is 18th. Today we are taking, next we'll be meeting on 23rd, and then we are meeting on 30th. So in today's first session, we'll try to complete section 139, 140 and 141 along with the important examination questions, because section 139 and 143 are very, very huge. They are the huge sections of this chapter. Section 139, 143 and 148 is also a little lengthy. So in the first lecture, we are going to complete So we are trying to complete section 139, 140, 141. And then in the second session, we are trying to complete 142, 143, 144, and 145, along with the important examination questions. And the third session, we will complete the balance sections of this chapter. So that is how we plan to divide the chapter. And in every session, we will be taking examination-based questions also. So try to be present in all the sessions and try to understand and learn whatever we are doing in the class itself. Now let's begin the chapter with the applicability of audit committee. So there are certain companies to whom it is mandatory to constitute this audit committee. It says section 177 read with the Companies Rules 2014. What rules? Meetings of the board and its powers. So I keep telling you sections, yes, you can try to remember the sections, but rules, Companies Rules 2014 will suffice in itself. It is not important to learn each and every rule, what rule says, but what rule says is important, but the name of the rule is not that important for you to learn. But what is it trying to tell you? That company's rule says that the audit committee will be formed by the board of directors. So who is going to appoint the audit committee? First of all, children, an audit committee is formed. Who forms the audit committee? Board of directors will constitute the audit committee. Every listed public company, now listed public company, you remember SEBI and other big bodies are ruling around the listed public company. So it is mandatory for them to get their audit done, and this audit will be done by an audit committee will be set up, and this audit committee will choose how the auditor has to be appointed. What is the role of the audit committee? Audit committee will appoint the auditors and they'll inform the board of directors. Board of directors further go and tell the shareholders that these are the people who have been recommended by the committee that they're going to be our auditors of a company. So every listed public company is going to have an audit committee. Those public companies, now what are those public? One is listed public companies. Second category, it is talking about unlisted public companies. So which unlisted public companies are required to have the audit committee? Number one, the companies which have paid up share capital of more than 10 crore rupees, or the turnover is more than 100 crore rupees, or the outstanding loans exceeds rupees 50 crore. So if there is a company PQR Limited, if it is having a paid up share capital of 99 crores, it is having a paid up share capital of 9 crores and it is having 94 crores turnover and the outstanding loans and debentures is 60 crore. Does it need to have an audit committee? Yes or no? It will scrutinize auditors, Anil, not the NFRA. Very good. Those who have said yes, yes is the correct answer, because the word written over here is or, it is not and. Either of the condition is satisfied, you need to have the audit committee. The paid up share capital or turnover or outstanding loans and debentures existing on the last audited financial statement will be taken on the account. So last day of the audited financial statements, you have to see this information as per the balance sheet, which is the audited balance sheet. And if the company fails to fulfill any of these conditions in 3 consecutive years, for how long these conditions have to be met? For 3 consecutive years, they shall be following these limits. Then only they need to comply with the requirements of audit committee. Say, for example, from the last 2 years, they were not having this limit of 60 crores. They were having 44 crores. Then you have failed to fall under this category. Neither your turnover is more than 10 crore, 100 crores. Neither your paid up share capital is more than 10 crores. Nor you're having the outstanding loans of more than 50 crores. Now you're not required to constitute the audit committee. You're required to constitute the audit committee if only these 3 limits, any of these limits have been consecutively maintained for last 3 years. Okay, then only you are required to maintain. Anil, are you clear about your doubt? All right. Now let's go to the next slide. Applicability of audit committee we have done, how the audit committee will be appointed and what are the rules to be seen in that. Now let's understand how the auditor is appointed. Section 139, a very, very lengthy section and a very important section, appointment of auditors. Section 139 tells you how the auditors are appointed. So first we have to understand that there are different categories of companies. One is the government companies auditors, where we'll be taking the help of C&AG. What is the full form of C&AG? Comptroller and Auditor General of India will be involved, where government company or government controlled companies are we are talking about the appointment of auditors. And the first category we'll be talking, we can say normal companies means companies other than government companies. So that is how we are going to learn. In case of companies other than government companies, how the auditor is appointed, how the appointment will take place, and how the auditor will be appointed in case of government company. All these rules and regulations we'll be doing one by one. First, in the case of normal companies, we'll understand how the first auditor is appointed, and then we are going to understand how the subsequent auditor is appointed. Now, which is a company which is other than a government company, means any other public or private company, the first auditor has to be appointed. Who will decide who is the first auditor? Board is going to give its recommendation for the first auditors. So say, for example, company decides Mr. X will be appointed as the first auditor. So if board fails to do that, within how many days he has to decide, board of directors? Board of director will decide within 30 days. How many days? 30 days it will decide how the first auditor has to be appointed. And if board fails to do that, then within next 90 days, shareholders will decide who will be appointed as the auditors. So how is the first auditor appointed? Say, for example, company decides to appoint Mr. X as the first auditor. So within 30 days of its board meeting, this Mr. X will be appointed. And if it fails to do that, then within 90 days, shareholders will decide and appoint the auditor in extraordinary general meeting. In extraordinary, shareholders will hold their extraordinary general meeting and they will appoint it. Yes, Preeti Kumari, he is the auditor who is doing the audit for the very first time. So the first auditors are the people who are being appointed for the very first time when the company has been opened, and now you want to appoint your first auditors. Other than a government company, board of directors will appoint within 30 days of board's decision. This appointment will be taken up, and if the board fails to do so, 90 days will be given to the shareholders. They will hold the extraordinary general meeting and they will appoint the auditor. So total how many days we are getting in case of a normal company? Total how many days are being given? 120 days have been given within which the auditor, the first auditor, has to be appointed. And this first auditor will hold the office till what date? He will hold the office till the first AGM of the company. Where is the first AGM of the company held? You must have done the provisions of first AGM within 9 months, gap of 15 months between first and second AGM, within 6 months from the close of financial year, whichever is earlier. So whatever dates you have determined. So let's assume within 6 months of the closure of financial year. So by 30th September, if your AGM is going to be held, till the first AGM, this first auditor will be holding your office. So you appoint him within first 120 days. First 30 days are being given to the board of directors, and then 90 days have been given to the shareholders. Shareholders will appoint him, the first auditor, in EGM by passing a resolution. And this first auditor is going to hold the office till the conclusion of the first AGM. And after this first AGM, subsequent auditor will be appointed. Subsequent auditor will be appointed. All right, we'll talk about the subsequent auditor later on, but let's first read out what is written over here for the first auditor. Yes, Abhishek Mishra, from the expiry of the 30 days, 90 days have to be counted. Very good. All those who have written 30 days from the date, Lahari Marju, from the date in which the board has given the recommendation. So let's read it out, then you'll understand. So every company will appoint an individual or firm of auditors. First of all, who are the auditors of the company? Either the individual chartered accountant is appointed or the firm of CAs is appointed as the auditor at the first annual general meeting. The auditor will hold the office from the conclusion of first AGM till the conclusion of sixth AGM, thereafter till the conclusion of every sixth AGM. So the first auditor, children, the first auditor who is going to be appointed, he'll be holding the office till the first AGM. And after that, the subsequent auditor is going to hold the office for the 5 years. That's why they have written sixth AGM. What is the manner and procedure of appointing the auditors? It is given in the Rule 3, Audit and Auditors Rules 2014. So this is how exactly the auditor has to be appointed, where the audit committee has been set up. It is an experienced and qualified committee which will decide who are the experienced people, referring to the size and requirement of the company, qualifications, experience. They will decide who will be the auditor. And if the audit committee recommendation is not in agreement with the board of directors, then board of directors are going to propose the name of the subsequent auditor. Okay, this here it is talking about the subsequent auditors. So where the competent authority is the audit committee, it will give the name of an individual or a firm that person shall be appointed as the auditor. First, we are appointing the first auditor. For that, please write down the note that I have written it for you. Within board will decide that this person is going to act as my auditor. Mr. X will be my auditor. So now board has taken a decision. Within 30 days of board's decision, appoint this person as an auditor. You fail to do so, within 90 days, shareholders will decide by passing a resolution in EG. So total 120 days have been given to the company to appoint the auditor, first auditor. Until the conclusion of first AGM, this Mr. X is going to hold your office, means he is going to act as an auditor. Now, how the subsequent auditor is going to come? The subsequent auditor, the role of audit committee begins from here. Audit committee will recommend to the board of directors that we want Mr. X to be reappointed as an auditor, means he can continue for 5 years, or we want a firm, say for example PwC or E&Y or Deloitte, any of the big 4 firms, or Grant Thornton, any of the firm, to be appointed as the auditor. Let's take an example. Audit committee says that we want KPMG shall be appointed as the auditor of ABC. Okay. Now board will either agree with this recommendation, and he will go and tell the shareholders that please pass a resolution in the annual general meeting and appoint KPMG as the auditors. But if board disagrees, board says that KPMG is not doing good nowadays, it is not doing good audits, we don't want him to appoint as the auditor, please take back your recommendation and again tell me some another auditor. Now again, it is a vicious circle. So board is not agreeing. He will go back to the audit committee. Audit committee will again get a new name. If board agrees, he will give the new name to the shareholders. If he doesn't agree, he will again report back to the audit committee that please change the name of the person and also give me the reasons for disagreement. It is very important for the board to give the reasons for the disagreement. They have to tell that if you're saying no KPMG, then why not KPMG? If you're saying we don't want PwC, then why you don't want PwC? You have to give the reasons, and these reasons will be given by the board. And in case this audit committee is not satisfied and they say that, okay, the disagreements continue. They say that, no, we want this person only to be appointed as the auditor. We are not going to change from our decision. Then board of directors will record the reasons of the disagreement and it will send board's recommendation. Then board will say, okay, fine, audit committee, we just asked you to appoint the auditor. You're not agreeing with us. We are saying somebody else. You are saying, no, we want KPMG only. So now board will say that board's recommendation will be given. Board of directors will recommend new auditors. And shareholders are supposed to appoint this new auditor by passing an ordinary resolution in the general. Is that clear? So first auditor, 30 days, 90 days, procedure clear. EGM में shareholders are appointing. Subsequent auditor, audit committee comes into picture. It recommends to the board of directors. Board of directors agree. They will tell the shareholders, please appoint. They do not agree. They go back to the audit committee, tell them, please change the audit. If audit committee and board of directors are not agreeing with each other, then board will record the reasons for disagreement and board will recommend the new auditor. This new auditor will be appointed by the shareholders by passing an ordinary resolution in the general. Clear? First auditor and subsequent auditor of normal companies. Now, while doing all this work, what roles and responsibility of the audit committee has to be taken into consideration? So audit committee will see that there is no misconduct being done by this person whom we are appointing as the auditor. He had the required qualification and experience. The competent authority will take into consideration the qualification and experience. The companies which are required to constitute audit committee as per section 177, first slide we have done that. Those who are not required to constitute, then board of directors will decide. If you are forming the audit committee, then audit committee will decide who is the auditor. If you are not falling under section 177, you are the company which is having 9 crores, 99 crores, 49 crores, you are not exceeding the limits, then you're not required to constitute the audit committee, then board of directors will decide who is your auditor. But where we are having listed public companies or unlisted public companies which are falling under those categories, audit committee will decide who is the auditor. While deciding who is the auditor, he will take into consideration the qualification and experience of the individual. He will also see that these qualifications and experience commensurate with the size of the company, means they are related, they are relevant to the company. If I am an auditor who has been doing audit from last 10 years for the manufacturing concerns, and it is manufacturing of electrical appliances. Now you're appointing me as the auditor for manufacturing of clothes. Then I'm not commensurating with the requirements of the company. I should have my experience in the similar kind of field. And with regard to any pending proceedings related to professional matters of conduct, he will also see that this auditor is not liable for any misconduct. ऐसा तो नहीं that this person is liable for any misconduct. He has not been conducting himself properly or any other information that he deems fit. So what are the 3 important points which the audit committee shall consider while deciding who is the auditor? Number 1, there should not be any professional misconduct. If you want, I can just briefly write it down for you. There should not be any professional misconduct by that auditor. Second is, he has the relevant qualifications and experience. And third is, his qualifications and experience relevant to industry of the company that he's going to audit. Is that clear, children? Any doubts still here? Anyone has any doubts still here? Anil Army has asked a very interesting question. Okay, thank you, Neeru, for saying it's clear. Anil Army is asking if there is a clash between board of directors and audit committee, then board is appointing, right? Then what's the role of audit committee? So the role of audit committee is to recommend the auditor, but I am the board of director. You have to give your recommendation to me. And I am going to tell the shareholders, they will pass the resolution in the general meeting, and this is the procedure how the subsequent auditor is appointed. Now, I only constituted the audit committee of all these senior professionals. They are debating with me that we want KPMG. I have a scam which was found to be conducted by KPMG. I have solid reason. I'm board of directors. Board of directors have a solid reason for not appointing them. Then how can you debate with the board of directors? You cannot say then what is the role of audit committee. This is the organization which has been formed as whole. Now, how the decisions and management are going to be run, that is as per the provisions of the Act. This is what the Act says. Tomorrow, audit committee gets angry with you and how they're behaving in reality. If this thing happened in any of the companies, that is altogether a separate story, Anil. This is what we have to remember as per the provisions of the law. What is written in the law, that is what we understand. Lahari Maruju is saying audit committee and board will decide the auditors first and then the decision. Absolutely correct. Audit committee will give its recommendation to the board of directors and then board are going to give the recommendation to the shareholders. Yes, board of directors superior. Yes, Nanda Goyal for government company CNAG will appoint. I have not yet started government companies, so don't worry. Board will recommend and pass order decision to appoint the auditors after. Yes, Hardik, that's absolutely correct. Shareholders will then appoint the auditors as per the decisions of the board. All right, any more doubts? Everyone clear? This point is important that I've written in notes for you, that there should not be any professional misconduct, qualification, experience, and it should commensurate with the relevance with the industry. That is important. Abhishek Mishra is asking, first auditor can be reappointed in first AG. Definitely, Abhishek, he can be reappointed, but I will be, in a while, I'll be coming to the point of 5 years cooling period and 5 years appointment. There, this point will get more clarified. Okay. Hardik, we'll do those examples from the module just in a while. Is that clear, everyone? Now, while you're appointing the auditor, a written consent has to be taken from the auditor. Shweta is asking, can the shareholders have any objection while appointing the auditors and recommendations? So, board of directors have been given the superior authority. They will decide. According to them, Shweta, the auditors will be appointed. Written consent. So, what is the written consent? It says you have sent the appointment to the auditor and he orally calls you and tells you, okay, fine, I'm going to be your auditor. Section 139 of the Companies Act, along with the Rule 3 and Rule 4 of Companies Rules, strictly says that the consent means the हामी, जो हम हामी ले रहे हैं auditor से, जो वो कह रहा है कि yes कह रहा है, agree कर रहा है, that consent from the auditor has to be taken in writing. The written consent of the auditor has to be obtained. A certificate will be taken from the auditor stating these 4 important points. Now, children, many a times examiner gives you straight away question, what shall be written in the certificate that you take from the auditor while his appointment? So if such kind of question comes, you will simply write that a written consent will be taken from the auditor before his appointment. This certificate will contain following items. Number 1, he will write that if he is an individual, Mr. X, or he is the firm of the auditors, that is KPMG in our example, they will write that they are eligible for appointment and they're not disqualified for appointment under the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. So see the relevance given to us. CA is appointed under CA Act 1949. I'm a chartered accountant as per the provisions of the Act and I'm not disqualified. This certification has to be given by the auditor. The proposed appointment is as per the terms provided under this Act. He will also certify in that certificate, he will say that this proposed appointment is as per the terms and conditions of the Act. This appointment is within the limits laid down or under the authority of the Act. So there is a limit of 20 companies. There is a limit laid down for the auditors that they can have they can audit 20 companies. They cannot audit more than 20 companies. So he will have to give the certification that they're following within the limit of these 20 companies. It should not be that you are my 50th company whom I'm going to audit. So that's why a written certificate is taken that I'm within the limit, the terms are being followed, I'm not disqualified. Not disqualified means sometimes your membership number gets removed from the certificate, from the ICAI also, if you have done something really legally wrong. So you should not be, you should be qualified, you should be holding a valid membership number also. And any proceedings which are going against this auditor or audit firm, that also needs to be disclosed in the certificate that it is true and correct. So if auditor Mr. X, any case has been filed against Mr. X or KPMG is having any cases filed against it, they shall disclose in the certificate, which is true and correct, that these are the cases going against us and we'll be winding it up. So what are the 4 things that you need to give in the auditor's certificate? Hurry up, tell me in the chat box. A written consent will be taken. And what are the 4 things that needs to be taken into consideration in the certificate? Number 1, the terms and conditions. Number 2, the limits. Number 3, he shall not be disqualified from being appointed as an auditor. And number 4, any proceedings which are going against him shall also be disclosed in the certificate of the auditors. This certificate also indicates whether the auditor satisfies the criteria given under section 141. What is section 141? Very nice, all those who have written all these points. Yes, Pallavi, only the limit of 20 companies has been given. We'll proceed further. I'll show you where this limit is written. Pranav, good. Okay. So, eligibility, okay. So whether the auditor satisfies this, 141 talks about the qualifications of the auditor. So it will also indicate that we are satisfying the provisions of section 141, which we'll be doing in today's session, that I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I'm an auditor who can be appointed as an auditor. I'm a person who can be appointed as an auditor. And now the company will inform the concerned auditor of his appointment in the notice form ADT 1, and it will file it with the registrar within 15 days of the meeting in which the auditor is appointed. So whenever the auditor is appointed, which form needs to be filed with the ROC? When an auditor is appointed, which form needs to be filed with the ROC, children? Form ADT 1. Excellent. Yes, I will be showing you Form ADT 1 also today. Ankit Mishra, Nancy Ingu, Nishka Raj, all of you children, keep writing your answers here. I'm looking into your answers also. All right. And within how many days the ADT 1 needs to be filed with the registrar? Very good, Kashish. You have written the correct answer for that certification point. Anjali, Nancy, are they good? Within 15 days, you need to file the ADT 1 with the ROC. All right. Now let's proceed ahead. Terms of the auditor. For how long the auditor is being appointed. Listed companies, all the companies which are unlisted public companies. For the listed companies, the auditor has to be appointed for 5 years. For the unlisted companies, what is the limit that we have seen? Paid up share capital 10 crores. Private limited companies having a paid up share capital of 50 crores and public borrowings of rupees 50 crores or more, they shall not appoint or reappoint the auditor for more than 5 consecutive years, and the audit firm not for more than 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. Now, the term of law has been written over here. Try to understand it in a simpler language. All the listed companies and the unlisted public and private companies where we have seen the limits for the provisions of audit committee, the similar limits have been given. If you are having the unlisted public companies having a paid up share capital of 10 crores or more. And what is the limit for private companies? Having the limit of 50 crores or more, the paid up share capital. And having public borrowings of more than rupees 50 crores. So a large amount of public money is involved. That's why now you have to appoint an auditor, and your individual auditor will be appointed for a term of 5 years. For how long you'll be appointed? For example, you have been appointed as the auditor in 2017. Till how long you can continue to be the auditor? If you have been appointed, very good, Pranav, till 2022. Now, if you are an individual, you'll be appointed as an auditor for 5 years. If you are an audit firm, ABC Associates is appointed as an auditor in 2017. Then for how long they will be appointed? They will be appointed for 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. So 5 साल, उसके बाद reappointment for 5 years. So 2017 till 22, first 5 consecutive years, first term. Then from 22 till 27, second term of 5 consecutive years. So from 2017 till 2027, the audit firm can be appointed as the auditors. 10 years, absolutely correct. All of you have given the correct answer. So individual is appointed for the 5 years, and for the next 5 years, it goes into a cooling period. Firm is appointed for 5 years, reappointed for 5 years, then it goes into cooling period of 5 years. Then again, it is appointed for 10 years, then it again goes to the cooling period of 5 years. When it goes into the cooling period of 5 years, during those 5 years, the firm and the auditor cannot be appointed again in the same company. It says nothing can stop the company from removing the auditor or resignation of the auditor. That is given under section 140. Section 140 will tell us how the auditor can be removed or resigned from the audit. So cooling period, individual who has completed his term, 1 term of 5 consecutive years will not be eligible for the reappointment for the 5 years, and audit firm who has completed a terms of 10 years will not be eligible for appointing for 5 years. Incoming auditors should not have common partners with the retiring auditors. Very, very important. If ABC Associates and DEF Associates are having Mr. M as the common partner. Now, ABC Associates is in the cooling period of 5 years. Can you appoint DEF Associates? The answer is no. You cannot appoint because Mr. M is a common partner with the retiring auditors. Then, if you have a common partner, if one firm is disqualified, then the other firm will also become disqualified. Very good, Rachna, Nanda, Manvi, good. Nanda Goyal and Manvi, we are doing cooling period only. 1 term means 1 term of 5 years, Manvi. Mahi, we are doing cooling period only. Cooling period means the period during which the auditor will not be working with the same organization. So Mahi, you are my auditor appointed in 2017. Till 2022, 5 years, you will remain my auditor. Now, for the next 5 years, that is from 2022 till 2027, you cannot be appointed in my organization as the auditor. That is known as the cooling period. You work with some other organization, I don't have any objection, but with my company, you can only be appointed for the 5 years. Then for the next 5 years, you go into the cooling period. After that, again, you can be appointed. And after that, the appointment will be given to you, will be a fresh appointment. And the audit firm remains with us for 10 years, and then it goes into the cooling period of 5. On appointment, if the audit firm shall have any partners who were also the partners to the other audit firm. Again, if you were a partner in another audit firm and their tenure has expired, then you cannot be appointed as the succeeding auditor. Let's take an example. There is an audit firm, PQR Associates. Their term of audit has expired in 2019. So now 2021, 22, 2024. Till 2024, they cannot be appointed as the auditor. There is another partner, Mr. X, who is a partner with DEF Associates also. And he is a common partner. Can DEB Associates appointed as the auditor now? Or X was working with PQR Associates earlier. He has left that firm and now he has joined DEB Associates. Mr. X was my auditor earlier. Can DEB Associates now appointed as an auditor? Both the scenarios, whether you are a partner with them or you were earlier working with them, now you're working with this organization, both the organizations will not be allowed to be appointed after the 2 terms of 5 consecutive years have been over. So DEB associates will also not be eligible to be appointed as the auditor. Can you even believe that it is 6:45 and we are still in section 139? So section 139 is very huge. I am trying to go as slow as possible, but please try to grab all these points because at the end of the session, I have very interesting questions also related to these points. All right, so this is about your recommendation by the audit committee. How the rotation of auditor is happening. It is the same points that audit committee will recommend, then board will consider this recommendation. Board will also decide the rotation of matters themselves. Incoming auditors shall not be eligible if the audit firm is associated. It is the similar kinds of points that we have done in the previous slide. Now we'll be talking about the auditor of the government company, which I believe that we should take up from the study material. Yes, anyone having any doubts? Meanwhile, you can ask your doubts, you can raise your hands. Now we're going to discuss about the casual vacancy also. We have not discussed the casual vacancy, right? Okay, Anuradha says no doubt, ma'am. That's great. Cooling period is applicable for unalarming internal auditor is different. Statutory auditor is different. Here, whatever provisions we are doing, chapter number 10 is applicable to the statutory auditor. Cooling period for firm is 5 years after 10 years of appointment. Yes, Nanda Goel, absolutely correct. After you have been appointed for 10 years, then you go into the cooling period of 5 years. Again, you will be appointed. If you want to be appointed, then it will be a fresh appointment. ADT1 will be filed with ROC after the written consent. Absolutely correct, Lahori Maruju, after written consent has been taken. Sanya, we have not done the removal of auditor. So when I do the removal, then you will understand this point. Hardik, again, transition period is still pending. So don't jump into that. Whatever I'm explaining you right now, just stay there. Ma'am, may I return right or no? Tameshwari, what are you asking? Please type again. In cooling period, common. Yes, yes, yes. Tameshwari, absolutely correct. During the cooling period also, common partners cannot be appointed. Very good. For individual, cooling period is 5 years. Yes, Nanda Goel, for individual also cooling period is 5 years. For the audit firm also the cooling period is 5 years. ADT1 company will file ADT1. Kashish, company will have to file the form ADT1 with the ROC. Okay. All right. Now this is your exact provisions. Here is your transition provisions also, but let me just go into the starting of this chapter and let's see if we have covered all the points. Introduction, the first auditor is appointed, either individual or a firm can be appointed as the auditor. So examples have come up, Hardik, you wanted to do the examples. So the term of the auditor for the first AGM, the first auditor will hold the office till the conclusion of first AGM or in which he was appointed till the conclusion of sixth AGM. Now this is very interesting. Ma'am, you told us that the auditor will be appointed for 5 years. It is year 2016. First auditor appointed till the first AGM that was held in 2017. So first year, this auditor was appointed. Now tell me, will the auditor hold the position till the fifth AGM or sixth AGM? So he will hold the office till the sixth AGM because after appointing the first auditor, he can still be appointed for 5 more years. And after that, it will be 6th AGM to 11th AGM, 11th AGM to 16th AGM, and so on for 5 years. 5 years appointed, 5 years cooling. 5 years appointed, 5 years for an individual. Understood? And the same goes for your audit firm. There, the period is 10 years. Okay? 6th year because same, yes, same auditor continued. Ritika Gupta, very good. Lahari Maraju, good. He can be appointed. Yes. For the first auditor, it is 6 years. Yes, absolutely correct, Hardik and Nanda, both of you also. So Rahel Technical Private Limited was incorporated during the financial year 23-24. First AGM was held on 30th September. Company appointed chartered accountants for the period of 5 years as a subsequent statutory auditor. That is absolutely fine. The manner and procedure of rotation of auditor is given over here. Audit committee, these all points we have discussed. Agreement, disagreement was also discussed with you. You can refer to example number 2. It relates to if they're not agreeing with each other. This is the conditions that we have just gone through, that if you fall under these conditions, then you will appoint the auditor within the period of 5 years. Written consent, these are the points of the certification that you have written also in the chat box. Certificate will indicate whether the auditor is satisfying 141, that is his eligibility criteria. For the NIFARA, you have to file NFRA 1 within 30 days of this commencement of the rules. Otherwise, for any company, you will file ADD 1. See, it is clearly written. Company will file about the, now company will have to tell ROC, you inform about each and everything to ROC, remember? So company will go to ROC and they will tell them within 15 days that ADT 1 form will be submitted, telling them that this auditor has been appointed. But if it is a body corporate, that is any foreign company or other companies, particulars of the auditor appointed by the body corporate, then NFRA 1 form has to be deposited within 15 days by the, as per the NFRA rules. Now, this is your term of audit, everything which we have done. XYZ is a listed company, appoints individual Raghav as the auditor on 29 September 2022. He will hold the office from the conclusion of this meeting till the conclusion of 6th AGM to be held in 2027. Raghav will not be reappointed as the auditor at 6th AGM. So for 5 years, 2027 se later, next 5 years, till 32, I suppose, he will not be appointed as the auditors. XYZ is a listed company appointed as the audit firm on this date. He will hold the office till the conclusion, up till the conclusion of 6th AGM. So all these points I have given, again, it will be not reappointed. So here he is going to hold the, because it is an audit firm, so till 2026, they will hold the office. Okay. It can be appointed or reappointed as an auditor for more than terms of 5 years. That is up to 2026. So they will be, because it's a firm, so 2016 to 2026, they can be appointed. This is again the same points that they have given. This is the summary of that point, first AGM to 6th AGM, and then 5 years till 11th AGM. First AGM to 11th AGM, and then till 16th AGM. Again, this example number 5 and 6, you will do your practice yourself. Common partners, again, not appointed as the auditors. They have given you the same questions. Now, Hardik's query, transitional period. So, transition period means if on the commencement of this act, so this is a new act, Companies Act 2013. Before this, we were following some different provisions for the appointment of the auditors. So, it says after the commencement of this act, if any company has complied with the provisions of this act, then 3 years transition period will be given to them while they follow this rule of AGM and other things, appointment of the auditors. So within a period specified, AGM has been held under section 96. After 3 years from the date of commencement, this 3 years transition period will be given to them so that they can change their rules as per the requirements of 5 years and 10 years. When the company is constituting audit committee will decide the name of the individual auditor and replace the incumbent auditor, and board will consider their recommendation. In any other cases, board will decide that. This is again a repetition which we have already done. Now, this is about your 3 years transition period. If any company during the commencement of this act is already done 5 years or more than 5 years audit, then 3 years period, I'm giving them to give the transition. So total 8 years will be allowed. If you just have done 4 years, again 3 years, 7 years. If you have just done 1 year, then you will be getting 4 years because your total period is 5. So similarly, the transition, what you have to remember, the principle is principle of 3 years have to be seen while you're applying the audit time period you're accounting. All right. So this illustration number 1, modern furniture, despite not mandated under 177, read the company's rules to constitute audit committee on their own has appointed the audit committee. It recommended to the board the name of the individual auditor or the audit firm may replace the incumbent auditor. Incumbent auditor means somebody who is not doing the work properly. Okay. They have written that you can who can replace the incumbent auditor. Casual vacancy, I think they have started talking about now. So if they have recommended the name of this person, but the board didn't consider the recommendation, then what will happen? So if board is not considering, board will give its recommendation in the meeting and they will recommend the further to the shareholders. And on the board's recommendation, that person will be appointed as the auditor. Audit committee will recommend to the board name of the individual who can replace this auditor on the expiry, but in such cases, board may or may not consider the recommendation. So it's the same point that we have discussed about the audit committees and board's recommendation. 3 years extension for the auditors appointed. Yes, 3 years extension, Lahori Maraju, it is given for the 3 years time period is given that you can consider for your extension time period has been given. Absolutely correct. So this is your first auditors appointed by board of directors within 30 days and they will hold the office till the first AGM. If board fails to do in 30 days, we are talking about other than government company. If board fails to do in 30 days, then within how many days the auditor will be appointed by the shareholders? I've already told you within 90 days, filing a resolution in the AGM and he will hold the office till the first AGM. And how is the auditor of government company appointed? You were waiting for this. Auditor of government companies is appointed by the Comptroller Auditor General. He will be given first 60 days from the date of registration of the company, children. Here also 30 days from the date of registration of the company. All those who were asking, Lahari Maraju, you were asking 30 days will be counted from what? So please note 30 days of the date of registration of the company. The moment the company has been formed, 30 days within the date of registration, board will appoint the first auditors. And in case of a government company, C and AG, Comptroller and Auditor General within 60 days. Because it's a government company, it takes more days. So 60 days will be given to C and AG to appoint the first auditor. He will hold the office till the conclusion of the first AGM. And in government company, there is no auditor who is sitting for the 5 years or something like that. Every AGM, every year, a new auditor is appointed. And if C and AG fails to do that, board will appoint the auditor in next 30 days. If board fails to do that, then within 60 days at extraordinary general meeting, who will appoint? Shareholders will appoint. So normal companies, 30 days, 90 days. Government companies, C and AG, 60 days, 30 days given to the board, and then 60 days given to the shareholder. Why not 90 days given? Because already C and AG has taken 60 days. So now only 60 days are given to the shareholder. And for the subsequent auditor in the financial year, Controller and Auditor General shall appoint a qualified auditor within 180 days from the commencement of the financial year. So as soon as your financial year commences, say for example on 1st April, so within 180 days, that is by 30th September, within 6 months time period, your first auditor, your subsequent auditor shall be appointed by C and AG, who will hold the office till the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. So this is for the government company or a company owned and controlled by the government. So let's take a small break. Then we'll start with the casual vacancy. It's been 1 hour and we are doing 139 only. So don't worry, just revise what we have read as of now and keep your doubts ready. Let's take a small break here. Yes, Abhishek Mishra, it is 150 days. Absolutely correct. Total 150 days again. Let's take a small break. all of you. For a government company, Lahari Maruju is asking for 60 days, 30 days. Yes, total 120 days. 60, 30 days. You have missed one provision over here. Further 60 days are also given to the shareholders. Okay, Lahari Maruju. If the board does not fails to appoint, then shareholder will be appointing it further than 60 days. So total 180 days are given to the government company and 150 days are given to the, 150 days for the normal companies. Yes, Nanda Goyal, every auditor will hold the office for 5 years. Only the first auditor is allowed to hold the office till the 6th AGM. Board of Directors, page 10.5, 10.4, the stable language is not understandable. Kasak Yadav says, ma'am, please transition period again. All right, we'll come back to the transition period, children, once again, but I want to complete the point of casual vacancy. Ritika Gupta, appointment, reappointment. All right. So Ritika Gupta, appointment of the auditor means I am appointed as an auditor for 5 years. If I'm an audit firm, children, you have to understand there is a difference between an individual appointed as an auditor and the firm appointed as an auditor. Firm means, for example, ABC Associates is appointed as an auditor. They will be appointed for 5 years and then reappointed for 5 years, total 10 years appointed, and then they go into the cooling period of 5 years. Let's take a practical example, 2016. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you are appointed as an auditor. Then from 21 to 26, again, you are reappointed as an auditor. If you're an audit firm, then from 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, you go into cooling period. You will not be appointed as the auditor in the same organization. Yes, you want to be appointed as the statutory auditor of my subsidiary company, you can be appointed. You want to be appointed as an internal auditor of my company, yes, you can be appointed. But you cannot be appointed as the stat audit for those 5 years period. Clear? Similar is the case with an individual. He's appointed as an auditor for 5 years, 2016 to 21. Then from 21 to 26, he goes into cooling period. Cooling period means he will not be appointed in your organization now for this 5 years period. After that, if you still want to appoint Mr. X, the same person, as an appointment, you will give him a fresh appointment. So he'll be appointed from 26 to 31 again for the next 5 years. All right. So Bhavna Garg is asking, can the government company same auditor be appointed? Only once in a year, the government company auditor is appointed. Every year, the auditor of the government company will change. It is not a period of 5 years for them. Is that clear, children? 3 consecutive years, what is condition? Tell me, Tambeshwari is asking. So 3 consecutive years means for 3 regular years, you have to follow that condition for the audit committee, child. That is the condition that we have read. So if you're forming the audit committee, only if you're having that paid up share capital, loans, borrowings, or turnover limits. So those limits shall be maintained for 3 consecutive years. Consecutive means as together, as a whole, you have to take. And 10.4, somebody has raised a query. Now I'm last time taking that because otherwise, children, we won't be proceed further. (10.4) table language. Are you talking about this language, Tambeshwari? This is something which I've already explained you from my notes. So you refer to my notes. I have made certain points over there. All right. Yes, Ritika Gupta, absolutely. 5 years, again 5 years cooling period. And for an individual, 5 years, then absolutely correct. Doubt in case of first auditor of a normal company, whether the individual, yes, Hardik, for the first auditor, it is for 6 years. Which company needs to file NFRL 1? Nanda Goyal, what is written over there? It is clearly written over there. Body corporates means other than Indian companies, any other body corporate, that is foreign companies. So when you will do foreign companies chapter with me, you will understand in detail the definition of the word body corporate. Okay, as of now, simply remember, company will file ADT 1, body corporate other than company, that means foreign company, will file NFRL 1. Now, if you allow me, can we move towards the casual vacancy, children? So keep making down small notes that I'm telling you in between because they are going to be really helpful for you. Otherwise, there is lots and lots of information and you will get confused. Yes. Now filling up of the casual vacancy. Other than the company whose accounts are subject to audit appointed by the C and AG. So here we are talking about the normal company. So board will fill the casual. What is the meaning of casual vacancy? First of all, tell me. What is the meaning of casual vacancy? What is the meaning of casual vacancy? What is the meaning of vacant office? Means somebody has left the place. You were having an auditor who was appointed for 5 years. After 2 years, he left your office. He said, I don't want to continue with you. Or maybe that auditor has died. Or maybe he got of unsound mind. The tenure, before the tenure got finished, that office position got empty. That is the meaning of casual vacancy. That is within before the 5 years period, the auditor has gone. Now the office gets vacant. We need an auditor to be appointed. So this casual vacancy needs to be filled within 30 days from the date of casual vacancy. The board will fill it. And this person is going to hold the office till the next AGM. Casual vacancy while auditor is not going to come for 5 years. Casual vacancy, board will fill the casual vacancy within 30 days and he will hold the office till the next AGM. If it is because of resignation of the auditor, very important point. Now, one is Mr. X left the office. He said, I don't want to continue. He is resigning. He has given a notice of resignation. What is the meaning of resignation? When you're working with a company, you give a notice of resignation. Okay? If the resignation has happened, then shareholders will appoint the auditor within 3 months on the recommendation of the board. This vacancy will get filled. Otherwise, if it is any other reason, that is because of death or unsound mind, the auditor, the casual vacancy has occurred, then within 30 days, because then it is a case of emergency, then within 30 days, the auditor will be appointed by the board who will hold the office till the conclusion of next AGM. After that, the shareholders will be appointed. So if it is because of resignation, point number one, board will appoint the casual vacancy. And point number two, if it is a casual vacancy due to resignation, then the appointment will be approved by the company in general meeting within 3 months of the board's recommendation. Both these points have to be kept in mind when we talk about the casual vacancy of normal companies. Now we are going to talk about the casual vacancy of government companies. Casual vacancy of government companies needs to be filled within 30 days. And if C and AG fails to do that, then within next 30 days. Now, what was the criteria for the auditor in government company? We followed 60 days C and AG, 30 days board, and then balance 60 days were given to the shareholders. Am I correct? Check the information that I've shown you earlier. Is this correct? Auditor in the government company. Please rectify the spellings. Auditor in government company. 60 days, C and AG 30 days, and then 60 days to the shareholder. Now, casual vacancy in government company. Tell me, how many days C and AG? 30 days. It's an emergency. Don't think now that you're a government company and you'll take around say 60 days. No. Casual vacancy has occurred. It's an emergency case. You will also get 30 days now. And if they don't fill, then board of directors will fill within how many days? 30 days. And this person is not going to be holding the office for 5-6 years. This person is going to hold the office till the next AGM. Casual vacancy, CNAG will fill in 30 days. If he fails to do that, auditor, board of directors will fill in 30 days, and this auditor is holding the office till next AGM. In both the cases, he's holding the office till next AGM. Is that fair enough? Everyone has understood for the government company. Similarly, you can make for the normal companies. You want me to write it down for your normal companies also? I can write it down for the normal companies also. So for the normal companies, it was again the casual vacancy that we have just discussed. 30 days, board of directors will fill. And if it is the case of resignation, then within how months? How many months? 3 months from Board of Directors recommendation, shareholders will elect in the general. Is that clear, all of you? And for the first auditors, we have already done. Okay, good. Bhumika Agarwal, good. Priti Kumari, Kavita, auditor on leave. Yes, yes, yes. All those points that you have written is absolutely correct, all of you. All right. Thank you, Nanda, Tambeshwari, and Pallavi writing for it's clear, ma'am. Good. Yes, Hardik, it is 6 years for the first auditor. Whether you are an individual or you're in firm, it is for both of them. It is the same. Now, my dear students are going to do example number 9. Example number 9 you can do on your own. We will do some illustration in between. Reappointment of the retiring auditor. Can we reappoint the retiring auditor? Yes, a retiring auditor. Say, for example, PwC is your auditor, and now their term of 5 years have ended. Now, after 5 years cooling period, you want to reappoint this auditor. Can you reappoint the retiring auditor? Yes, ma'am, we can reappoint only if these three conditions are satisfied. Number one, he will give you that he is not disqualified for reappointment. That means if it is in the cooling period, then you will not. If the cooling period has passed, then now he is following qualification as per 141, you can appoint him. He has not given a notice of his unwillingness to be reappointed. So, for example, PwC has already sent a notice to ABC Limited that I don't want to be appointed again. Then will you appoint PwC again? You tell me. They're already sending you a notice that they're already sent you a notice. Will you appoint them? No, ma'am, we will not appoint them. And if they're disqualified, then also you'll not appoint them. And if a notice special resolution has not been passed at the meeting, appointing some other auditor or saying that they should not be appointed. Now, if the shareholders have passed an SR at the meeting, specifically saying that PwC shall not be appointed as the auditor, can you appoint PwC? No, ma'am, we cannot appoint. Or a resolution has been passed that we will be appointing Deloitte as the auditor. Can you appoint PwC? No, ma'am, we cannot appoint. Okay. So if these three conditions are met, then only the retiring auditor can be reappointed. Otherwise, he cannot be reappointed. So all these statements are written in a negative sense. So retiring auditor may be reappointed if he is not disqualified. So when can the retiring auditor not reappointed? If he is disqualified for reappointment, if he has given a notice of his unwillingness, if a special resolution has been passed that he should not be appointed or somebody else shall be appointed, then he will not be appointed. Otherwise, he can be appointed. Where at any AGM, no auditor is appointed or reappointed, the existing auditor shall continue to be the auditor of the company. Okay? Then the existing auditor will only continue to be appointed. However, the conditions of subsection 9, that is, these conditions needs to be checked. Subsection 11 says, where a company is required to constitute audit committee, all the appointments filling of casual vacancies shall be made after taking the recommendation. We have already discussed this point. You have appointed the audit committee, please take its recommendations also. Don't just make them sit idle. They are there to give you recommendations, but board will decide whether they want to select the recommendations or not. Is that clear, everyone? I hope section 139 is now very much clear to all of you. Now we'll proceed towards section 140, which is again very, very interesting section. And it has lots and lots of information is hidden for you in section 140 also. Removal and resignation of the auditor by giving a special note. All right. The auditor appointed under section 139 may be removed from his office before the expiry of his term. First of all, just tell me, can an auditor be appointed for 4 years? The auditor is always appointed for 5 years for normal companies. For government companies, every year it is appointed. Okay? Now, if auditor after 2 years he said that I want to resign. But then later on, he realized, oh my God, no, I don't want to resign. I too can be appointed for 5 years. So can he be allowed to work for 3 consecutive more years? The answer is no. If you have resigned once, you have broken those 5 consecutive years chain. So now you cannot. Now only a fresh appointment will take place after the cooling period of 5 years. All right. Everyone clear about this? Okay. Now, an auditor appointed under 139 may be removed from his office before the expiry of his term, a special resolution of the company, and after obtaining the previous approval of central government in ADT2 form. Here you are removing the auditor. You are removing the auditor. One is, I am an auditor. I'm saying, okay, goodbye this company. I'm not going to be your auditor. I am resigning. Another thing is, you are removing an auditor. ABC Limited says, PwC, now we don't want you to be the auditors. How will they do that? They have to take the approval from the central government. They will file ADT2 form with the central government. This is the form for the removal of the auditor. And if the central government gives them the acceptance, then they will pass SR in the general meeting and remove that auditor. But a very important point of natural justice, that is an opportunity of being heard, will be given to this auditor. This auditor will be invited in the general meeting and he will be asked to represent his points why he should not be removed. So if I am putting certain allegations on you that you have not been doing properly, please, I want to remove you. He should also be given a chance to speak in his own defense. Okay, so an auditor, before removing him, he shall be given an opportunity to stand in front of you and give a representation that why he should not be removed. So how is the procedure given? It is given under rule number 7 of the company's auditors rule that application will be made to CG within 30 days of the resolution passed, and company will hold the general meeting within 60 days of getting the approval from the central. So again, in normal companies, they are ruling between 30 days and 60 days only. So within 30 days of the resolution passed by the company that they want to remove, you will go to the CG and CG will give you the application. Within 60 days of the application, you will hold the meeting and remove this order. Specified IFSC company where no decision is communicated by the central government within a period of 60 days, then it will be deemed that the central government has given the approval and new appointment will be taken for appointing the new auditors within the 3 months from the date of expiry of 60 days period. So what is the whole story? Within how many days of special resolution you will give the application to the central government? Within 30 days, you will give the application to the central government. Within 60 days, you will get the reply from the central government. Once you get the reply from the central government, within 60 days, you will hold the general meeting and you will remove the auditor. If no reply has come from the central government, then within 3 months from the expiry of 60 days, you will remove that auditor. What is the important point? Only important point is that an opportunity of being heard will also be given to this auditor. He will be given a chance to come and represent himself. All right. Now, this auditor can be removed by board of directors or by the shareholders or by the tribunal. Any of them can remove the auditor. So these are the steps for removal of the auditor. Preeti Kumari, that is the approval taken from the central government because board has appointed, but you cannot, it is little harsh provision to remove someone. So government will also be involved. That is the procedure. For a government company, you make an application to C&AG, and for normal companies, central government approval is required if you're removing an auditor before his term. If the auditor is resigned, he will have a cooling period of 5 years. Yes, Lahori Maruchu. Then also 5 years cooling period has to be taken into consideration. Okay, we'll be coming to resignation, but first we are doing the removal of the auditor. So a special notice is received for the removal of auditor. A special notice will be sent to the auditor that, look, we are going to remove you. Who is sending the special notice? Special notice is same as given under the section 115 of Companies Act that you have done in chapter MGT. 1% of the voting power or paid up share capital more than or equal to 5 lakhs. These are the people who will send the special notice to Mr. Rex that we want to remove. Now, after the special notice has been sent, a board meeting will be held to decide the removal and authorizing the filing of central government to board resolution. Application will be made to central government in ADT within 30 days of the board's resolution. Approval will be received from central government. After receiving the approval, special notice will be sent for the AGM. This is your special notice of section 115 that look, we're going to remove this auditor, Mr. X. Please, if you want, you can come and attend this general meeting. And within 60 days of the receival of approval of CG, you will send the special notice. Auditor will be given an opportunity of being heard. He can make an oral representation or he can send a written representation, which will be circulated along with a special notice that these are the reasons which he wants to give in his defense. After that, special resolution will be passed on the removal and auditor will be removed. If you learn this chart beautifully, you are done with the topic of removal of auditor. And I feel proud to share with you that this is the chart taken from your own institute's module, that is Saransh, that they have made for you. It is updated on ICAI website. It is a very beautiful summary of all the chapters. So you can refer to these kind of things, at least from my presentation where I'm including these little summaries. You can simply learn this summary. It is beautifully done for the removal of the auditors. Okay, everyone clear for this point? Now let's talk about the resignation of the auditor. Yes, Manvi, it is there in the module also. Removal of the auditor we have done. Now let's talk about the resignation of the auditor. If the auditor is resigning from the company, then simply he will file ADT 3 form. What was the ADT 1 form? Can anyone tell me? Let's have a quick recap. ADT 1 form was for what? For the appointment of the auditor to be filed within 15 days with the ROC. Absolutely correct. All of you have written it correct. Yes, filed by the company. Very good, Kashish. Anuradha, Sukhveer Kaur, Ajay Surya, Kavita, Hardik, all of you. Good. What is the form ADT 2 for? Removal of the auditor. Excellent, Kavita. Nancy, Tanav. Very good, Bhavna. And what is the form ADT 3 for? ADT 3 form is for the resignation of the auditor. Removal was being done by the shareholders, central government and company. They were removing him. Resignation is he is doing himself. He is leaving your organization. He doesn't want to work with you anymore. Then he will send this resignation form within 30 days from the date of his resignation. He will file this with the registrar and the auditor will file the statement with CNAG and the registrar giving the reasons why he wants to resign from the auditor. If he is the auditor of government company and government controlled company, then he needs to give his reasons in writing that why he wants to resign. Notice has to be given that why reasons along with the reasons why he wants to resign from the company, and within 30 days he has to file this ADT 3 form with the registrar. Can company refuse to accept his resignation? Can company say, no, 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 we will not accept your resignation. You cannot leave us like this. Please complete your work, then you can. Can company refuse? No, ma'am. Very good. Company has no choice of giving any refusals for the resignation. If someone has given a resignation, they are free to leave and go. Company cannot stop them. So the only important thing is within 30 days, they need to file this ADT 3 form. And if auditor does not comply with this provision, means he is not sending to the registrar the reasons, he has not filed ADT 3 with 30 days, he is not telling C and AG in case of government company that he is leaving the firm, leaving the organization, then a penalty of 50,000 or an amount equal to the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. So if you were paying 1 lakh rupees to this auditor, then 1 lakh of 50,000, 50,000 is less. If you were paying 25,000 fees to this auditor, then 50,000, whichever is less, that is 25,000 will be his penalty. And if he still continues to fail to give this information, a 500 per each day, maximum 2 lakh rupees penalty will be charged to this auditor. So what is the penalty for not telling about the resignation? 50,000 or amount of remuneration. And if he continues, rupees 200, 500 per day, after maximum of 2 lakh rupees penalty will be charged to this auditor who fails to comply with the provisions of section 140. Is that clear, everyone? So within how many days you have to give ADT 3 form has to be filed with the registrar? company will be liable. Oh my God, Nanda Goyal, why do you want to make company liable? You are the auditor, you are resigning. You will be filling the penalty, not the company. Okay, understand? Yes, Dilip, good. Pranav, all of you, Bhumika, 30 days, 83 has to be filed with the registrar. Very good. Okay, and for the removal of the auditor, what were the points? 30 days, you have to file the ADT2. And within how many days of CG's approval, you have to pass the meeting? Within 60 days of the approval of the central government. Absolutely correct, children. Any doubts in section number 140 so far? And appointment of the auditor other than retiring auditor, this is the point of your special notice. Yes, auditor has to file 83. Very good. Okay, good, Ajay Surya. Everything is clear. That's great. Good, Tameshwari. Yes, it is 60 days. Hardik, 60, 60 you have written. So first 30 days and then 60 days for 82. We have not spoken about any such signed deal or signing a bond, Anuradha, that he is signing. Nothing such has been done. If these kind of conditions prevail, then the company will have to go whatever the agreements have been made with the auditor. Okay. In the general provisions of the Act of Section 139 and 140 needs to be complied. Appointing auditor other than the retiring auditor, special notice is required to be sent. I told you a special notice will be sent expressly providing that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. Now, this is talking about the removal of the auditor, how the special notice needs to be sent. On receiving this notice, the company will send a copy of it to the shareholders, to the retiring auditor also. And where the notice is given and the retiring auditor wants to make a representation in writing. Now, this is about your opportunity of being heard. You sent a copy to the auditor. Mr. X received this copy and he was shocked. He said, why are you removing me? You have sent me a special notice of removal. I want to make a written representation. Then this representation shall not exceed a reasonable length. It does not mean that he will fill 5, 6, 8, 10 pages. Simple written representation can be given to the company and he can request its notification to the members of the company unless the representation is received by too late. Means either he can say that please send this representation to all the shareholders, or he can say that I want to read out this representation in front of the shareholders. I would like to read it out. All right. In any of the notice given, state the facts of the representation, send a copy of the representation to the members, and if it is not sent or before it is received too late, then he can orally also read it. Simple, that written representation will be given to the members, or it can also be read out in the meeting. If the copy of the representation is not sent, then the copy shall be filed with the registrar, provided the tribunal is satisfied on an application either by the company or any other aggrieved person. Now, tribunal is also coming into picture. Now, if somebody feels that this auditor is giving written representations and he has written so many bad things about the company, and this shall not be done, or if the auditor is feeling wrong that many wrong things are being circulated about him, any of the aggrieved person, either the company or the auditor, they can file an application to the tribunal in form number NCLT1. They will file an application to the tribunal in form number NCLT1 will be made. Why it is written NCLT9? It is form. Yes, sorry. It is NCLT9. Application will be made NCLT9 either by the central government or tribunal suo motu thinks that something wrong is being done, or application is made by the central government or by the concerned person in NCLT9, then tribunal will pass an order that if there is something which is having related to a lot of fraud is happening, or where the tribunal feel that there is an urgent need to change this auditor, then within 15 days, either suo motu, he will appoint a new auditor, or he will request the central government that a new auditor in its place shall be appointed. So what will happen? First, you can make a representation. Opportunity of being heard is being given to you. That notice will be sent to everyone, to all the members and retiring auditor also. He will give you a list of representation. But the tribunal may order not to send the representations if he feels that there is something being abused by the auditor. If this subsection is being abused by the auditor, means auditor is writing wrong things about the company or any such things is happening, then he will not allow this the circulation of the representations to be made. However, tribunal can also suo motu. NCLT 1 is by board of directors. Yes, Lahari Maruju, absolutely correct. NCLT 1 will be given by the board of directors. Then they make an application to the tribunal that these representations shall not be circulated. Okay. So NCLT 1 is for your this change in representations, and then he can order that such representations shall not be read out or shall not be sent. One is this point. Second is, now this fifth point relates to where the tribunal is changing your order, is changing your auditor. One is central government can change, one is shareholders can change, tribunal can also change your auditors. Tribunal can change the auditors either suo motu, means on its own if he feels that something wrong is happening, or application NCLT 9 has been made. If the reason is reasonable, then the special notice. Yes, Preeti Kumari, the reasons are reasonable means special notice is not to be withdrawn. Then the general meeting will be held. For that, we have sent the special notice. Okay. And whatever representations, if they have given, if they feel that yes, auditor is giving a good representation, then they will not remove him depending upon the circumstances. NCLT 9 application made by central government and tribunal is satisfied that this auditor Tribunal is satisfied that the auditor of the company has acted in a very fraudulent manner, or he has done any such kind of fraud in relation to the company or directors of officers, then they will direct the company to change it all. Instead of directing, tribunal can also change on its own if the application is made by the central government and tribunal is satisfied that this auditor needs to be changed, then within 15 days in the act of emergency, he will be appointing another auditor in its place. So tribunal feels that there's an urgent need. ये बंदा बहुत fraud कर रहा है. He has abated or concluded any fraud, or he's acting in a very fraudulent, like Satyam case happened when PWC was got. So that time they will tell you that either you will be liable, you will also be liable under 447, and for next 5 years you will not be removed from being appointed as an auditor for next 5 years. This person will not be eligible to be appointed as an auditor for any company for next 5 years. All right, when the tribunal will pass its order. So tribunal on suo motu or on the application made by central government or any other concerned person can pass this order within 15 days. Also, he can either direct the company to appoint a new auditor, or within 15 days he will appoint a new auditor. And where tribunal has appointed the new auditor under section 140, that retiring auditor, that auditor who has been removed because of criminal liability, he shall not be eligible to be appointed as an auditor for 5 years, and also he will be liable to the fraud under 447, which is given under your chapter number 3, prospectus, last page. 447 fraud has given. In case of a firm, the liability will be of the firm and that of the partners who have acted in a fraudulently manner in relation to the company and directors. So the firm, if the firm is there, then the partners who have acted in such capacity, they all will be held liable. Is that clear, all of you? Now, when I gave you a break, I told you that you are required to read all the points from the module. So I'm going to ask you a small point from audit committee, where I told you that when is the audit committee applicable to listed public companies and the unlisted public companies having the limit of paid up share capital 10 crore, turnover 100 crores, outstanding loan 50 crores. But there are certain companies which are exempted from forming the audit committees. There are 3 companies which do not require to form the audit committees. Can you name those companies? Let me see how well you have gone through the study material. 3 companies are exempted. Why private company, Mayur? We never read like this that private company is not required. 3 companies. See, Nanda Goel, good. Wrong answer. Lahari Maruju, company which is not required under 177. That is what you have to tell me. Kashish, listed companies have to form. There is no choice for them. Listed companies have to form. NBFC specified IFSC. Myself wrong. Yes, you all are wrong. Nobody has given me the correct answer so far. Unlisted private company. Yes, Bhavna Garg has come up with the first correct name of the company, Dormant Company. Dormant Company is a sleeping company. It is not required to form the audit committee. And joint ventures and wholly owned subsidiary companies. Please write down in your notes if you don't see this. Three companies are exempted from the provisions of audit committee. That is dormant companies, Dormant companies, joint ventures, and wholly owned subsidiary companies are not required to form the audit committee. And what is the 3 consecutive years? Somebody was asking me a doubt here. It If the company fails to fulfill the conditions laid down in for the 3 consecutive years, means for 1 year you're having a turnover of 100 crores, but the next year you're not having this turnover, it is 99 crores or less, then you're not required to form the audit committee. Okay, everyone. Now you have written it down, na, but Nanda, go ahead. You can write it down. Joint ventures, wholly owned subsidiary, and dormant company. All right, let's flip through the pages of 140 from the module also, if there is anything that we can. All right, specified IFSC public companies and private companies, a period of 60 days has been given. You can simply give it a reading because already we have so much to do. You can just give it a reference to the IFSC public company. Audi alteram patum is the principle of natural justice. When you read the chapter of general clauses interpretation of statutes, you will get to know the meaning of these words. It is basically the natural justice. Opportunity of being heard shall be given to every person. Special resolution to remove the auditor shall be passed within how many days of the approval of central government? Tell me. 30 days, 1 month, 60 days. Yes, Hardik, they will be personally held liable in case of the fraud done by the auditor. Okay, this is the chart. This is the chart that I was talking about. We have already done this chart also. The resignation has been done. ADD3 forms. I'm going to show you forms also today. Let me see the forms for all of you. If you can do any illustration from here. Okay, please read down illustration number 5. Everyone is going to read it. And without cheating from the module, you're going to give me the answers in the chat box. Let me just see the forms so that I can show you the forms also. Have you read this question? FLP Limited engaged in the business of real estate defaulted on its borrowings, which exceeds the thousands of crores. A fraud was uncovered in respect of the transactions, and it was observed by central government that the auditors were involved in the fraud. Can you suggest the course of action? This auditor will be liable under 447 and he will not be eligible to be appointed for 5 years. Simply, you have to write this. Ajay Surya? Yes, within 15 days. Very good. Preeti Kumari, good. Hardik, good. Nanda Goel, good. Ajay Surya, central government will apply to NCLT satisfied. Pallavi Jha, Lahari Moruju, excellent children, excellent. Lahari Moruju, don't use NCLT 1 over here. There is no role of NCLT 1 form over here. Simply, if you have written this line, which I have highlighted, that is also fine. Okay. So you can go to the summary of subsection 5 also that we have recently covered over here. Now, after this, we're going to take a small break over here and we are just left with one section for today's class, that is 141. Along with that, I'm going to give you number of questions for doing practice today from section 139. So just revise section 139. Meanwhile, let me just open the forms also for all of you. Let's open the form of ADT1, ADT2. All right, this is how you remember what is ADT2 form? What was ADT2? This is how your ADT2 form looks like. the application for the removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. You can see how Rule 7 of the Companies Rules 2014 reference is given. Corporate DIN number and global location number of the company will be written. Address of the company's registered office will be given over here. Service request number of the special resolution. So which resolution has been passed, which tells you that removal of the auditor has to be done. All the details of the special resolution. Grounds for the removal, reasons have to be given. The accounts have to be given of the last 3 years. Have you given an opportunity of being heard? That principle of natural justice. Give the details that notice has been sent to him and we have heard his natural justice or not. Any criminal proceedings between the concerned officers, date of appointment, special notice has been received by the auditor or not. All these details you can see. And then board of directors will sign that I authorize on behalf of the company and declare that the information is correct and true, and the copy of special resolutions, grounds for seeking removal, minutes of the AGM or EGM, and the optional attachments. So you can see how beautifully Audit 2 form has been summarized for all of you. This is how your forms actually look like. This is the form number for the removal of the auditor. I'll try and see if I can show you the form for the resignation of the auditor also. But these are very specific forms related to certain companies. All right, let's take a small break here and I will just try to figure out the forms so that we can see the forms after the break. Let's take a small break here. Welcome back, students. Nanda Goyal is still on the transitional period. Okay, transitional period is not that important. Simply remember how much period has expired. You will get additional 3 years. If it is only 4 years, then you get your 5 years if it is an audit firm because you still have 5 years period. Okay, we will still do it again, Nanda Goyal, don't worry. But now is the time to take your test as promised. I hope you have revised section 139 and now I'm going to ask you questions out of that chapter. So here is the first question in front of you on the screen. Explain how the auditor is appointed in the following cases. Okay, Ritika Gupta, I'll explain you that point. How the auditor is appointed in case of a government company. What is a government company? Define its meaning. You all know government company. And the auditor other than government company has resigned on 31st December 2016 while the financial year ends on 31st March 2017. So how the auditor needs to be appointed in these cases? Hurry up, give me the answer. You can write down briefly in the chat box. I understand you cannot write whole stories, but simple points. Okay, so that is the definition of government company. It's okay, but what is the examiner asking you? He's asking you how the auditor of the government company is appointed. Ritika Gupta is asking how the notice sent in short, please. So notice is basically sent when we send the notice for the general meeting. Along with that, you will send a special notice that, look, Mr. X, we are going to remove you. This Mr. X is going to be removed, will be written in the notice and it will be shared with the shareholders also. And it will be given to the retiring auditor also. So that he can come and give a representation and he wants to say something in his defense, he can say. All right. Very good, Manvi, Bhavna, Pallavi, Tambeshwari, Ajay Surya, Hardik, Nanda Goel, all of you giving correct answers. CNAG will appoint. So this is your answer. The first auditor will be appointed by CNAG on within 60 days of its incorporation. If it fails to do so, board will appoint in 30 days. And it will inform the members who shall appoint the auditor in the next 60 days at AGM. He will hold the office till the conclusion of first AGM. Now, this is for your government company auditor. Any other company resigning the auditor? Subsequent auditor for the existing government companies within a period of 180 days from the commencement of the financial year, and he'll be holding the position till the conclusion of the AGM. This is whole of your government company. First and subsequent auditors are appointed like this. For the situation related to the casual vacancy which is being created by the resignation of the auditor, board will fill it within 30 days and the auditor will be approved by the company within 3 months of the recommendation given by the board. Remember, we have written these points 30 days and 3 months. Excellent, Pallavi Jha. Good, Bhavna Garg. All right. Thank you, Ritika. I'm glad your query is clear. If board fails, it will inform members. Yes, Kashish, very good. Correct points. Nancy Hingu, very good. Very good. All of you have written the correct answers. All right. Here is the second question in front of you on the screen. Lemon and Company Chartered Accountants, a limited liability partnership. Okay. Can we have a limited liability partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor? The answer is yes, because section 141 actually tells you about all these points, who can be appointed as the auditor. Body corporate is not appointed, but any partnership firm and even LLP can be appointed as the auditor. So Lemon and Company Chartered Accountants, a limited liability partnership firm with the CAL, CAM and CAN as partners, is the statutory auditor of listed company Messrs Big Limited for past 6 years as on 1st April 2014. Now, Mr. CAM is also a partner in other chartered accountant firm, Dew and Company, Chartered Accountants. Advise for how many years Lemon and Company can continue as the statutory auditor. So they are already appointed for past 6 years on 1st April 2014. Nanda Goel, you're so lucky. You wanted to do a question of transitional period. It is here in front of you on the screen. So this is the question having the transitional period of 2014. So till how long they can be appointed? So the first question says, When you have to talk about the listed companies, they can be appointed for 5 consecutive years, not more than 5. If it is a firm, it can be appointed for 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. If it is an auditor, they can be appointed for the 5 consecutive years. First, you will give all the provisions of the acts, and then you will give the applying the provisions to each of the answers. So first provision I'm going to do with you, it says this statutory auditor can continue its office till 31st March 2018. Why? Because they continue as statutory auditors for 5 more years. That is, they can continue to hold the office till 31st March because they have already done for 6 years. Very good. Kashish has given the correct answer, ma'am, because total period is 10 years. So now you can hold for balance 4 more years. Okay, not 2024. Kasak, it is till 2018 because we are talking about 2014. They for the 6 years they have already been your auditors now. So 3 years is the transition period. So you can allow them 4 years because 10 years तक तो permission है ही है. अगर 8 years हो गए होते तो आप सिर्फ 3 years देते. 9 years हो गए होते तो 3 years देते. Now it is only 6 years. So you can give 3 years, but you're still falling within the limit of 10 years now. So you can give 4 years more. After that, it says what will be the cooling period for the lemon company with Messrs. Big Limited. For how long they will go to the cooling period? Cooling period will be for 5 years. That is clear. After that, can Dew and Company be appointed as the statutory auditor of Messrs. Big Limited, and it's another listed company? So I told you that for 5 years, yes, common partner point, very good. Hardik and Pallavi, good. So for the common partner point is there, therefore that firm can also not be appointed as the statutory auditor. But can they be appointed for the subsidiary? Yes, you can be appointed for the subsidiary, but not for the common partner is there. Therefore, he cannot be appointed as a statutory auditor, but you can be appointed as the auditor for the subsidiary company. And the last one says, can Lemon and Company be appointed as the internal auditor? And it's another listed subsidiary during the cooling off period? Yes, ma'am, there is no problem in appointing them as the internal auditor. Every listed company and other companies shall be required to appoint internal auditor, can either have the chartered accountant or other professional. This is as per section 138 that we did on Monday. Lemon and Company can be appointed as internal auditor and auditor of another subsidiary because the cooling period will not be applicable to the internal auditor. Somebody was asking me this question specifically, ma'am, cooling period is applicable. It is not applicable to the internal auditors, and it is clearly written over here also. All right. So please, you should refer to all the suggested answers of the institute's material also. It gives you a lot of conceptual clarity how the paper needs to be attempted. Okay. Dilip again asking if the auditor of government company for 2 non-consecutive years. I told you, Dilip, for a government company, every year a new auditor is appointed. So don't appoint him for any consecutive years. Okay. You want to do one more question? ABC Limited, a listed company, appointed VG and Associates as an audit firm, as an auditor. On 30th September, this meeting was held. Explain the provisions related to appointment and reappointment in relation to the tenure of auditor. So this is a straightforward question of section 139. You will simply write about the term of 5 consecutive years, 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. Cooling period has to be given. While considering the cooling period, you will not consider the common partners to be reappointed. Same things have to be given. And ABC Limited, which is a listed company, can appoint the auditor for the term of 5 years. That is to the conclusion of the AGM 2022. So 2017, you have appointed them. For 2022, they will hold the office. And again, for the term of 5 more years, you can appoint them. So the maximum period, 2027, they can hold the office. This is your reappointment. You're holding the office. You're an audit firm. Again, somebody had a query related to this also. I hope you're getting clear about your points now. You're an audit firm. You're appointed for the first 5 years. Then you get reappointed for the more term of 5 years because you're an audit firm. You will be reappointed in the AGM. And you can be reappointed for more than one term of 5 years. That is up to the 2027. You will be holding the office. If you were simply an auditor, Manvi, everything is there on the portal and all these questions are from the website of ICAI module. So don't worry, okay? Yes. So, what was my question? Yes. So if in case of audit firm, it was an auditor who was appointed in 2017 meeting. Can that auditor hold the office till 2027? Only one term. Very good, Nanda Goel. So what will be the exact answer? Till 2022. Kasak Yadav. Good, good, good. Tambeshwari, Kashish, everyone is good. All right. So one last question I'm going to give to you now. You will solve it and you will write the answers in the chat box. Sorry. So children, you have to learn and revise all these points of removal, resignation. Nothing should be left in between, okay? One more question we can do. PKC Limited wants to appoint Mr. Praveen Kumar, a practicing chartered accountant, as a statutory auditor and have proposed auditor to give a certificate in this regard. What are the contents of the certificate? Very important question, and you have done it with me. I give you 2 minutes. Everyone is going to write this answer in the chat box without cheating. Excellent answers given by almost whole of the class. So now you remember how each and every provision is important. This is a straightaway question, 4 mark question, which has come in the exam, which is asking you about the contents of the certificate. The same topic we have done when I told you a written consent is taken from the auditor, a certification has to be given. So the Praveen Kumar, the proposed auditor, has to give the above certificate that his appointment is as per the terms, within the limits, list of proceedings, if any, and he's eligible for the appointment and is not disqualified. All right, very nice. Everybody has given a wonderful answer. Good. So I think you're almost done with today's topic, section 141, 142, and 143. Three important sections we are going to do on 23rd of December. That is the next class that I'm going to have with all of you. Within the limits, Nanda Goel, that is the limits I told you, maximum 20 companies you can have as an audit. It is still to come as a part of your syllabus. Yes, Hardik, that is good, 20 companies. So if you have 5 partners, then you 5 into each partner can have 20 companies audit. Okay. Okay, Manvi is asking that when the board agrees, can you please, if board agrees and disagree provision? So Manvi, that point says that you are an audit committee, you have given me the recommendation and I'm the board of directors. Now you are saying that, ma'am, I want to appoint PwC. I said, no, 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 we don't want to employ PwC. So we are having a disagreement. We are not agreeing to the same thing. You are saying something else, I am saying something else. All right. So now if we have that disagreement, then my decision will overrule. Board of director will give the recommendation and shareholders will follow that. ADT1 form I've not shown Ritika Gupta because it was not getting downloaded. So I'll show you in the next class. So don't worry. Nanda Goyal is asking one more doubt in impact assessment. Impact assessment means when you have prepared your accounts, and that is for CSR. When you have done your corporate social responsibility, there was a limit of more than 10 crores. So once you have done your share of 1 crore expenditure you have incurred and less than 1 year has passed, then the independent agency will come and do the impact assessment. Say, for example, you wanted to clear whole of the rivers near your city. So if I come and check it next day, it will be clean. But I will come and do the impact assessment after 1 year. And after you have done certain expenditure, I will try to figure out if everything is in place or not. Is that clear, everyone? Thank you so much, Pallavi. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pranav. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much, children. Yes, Anil, now on Monday, I'll be having your class. Okay, no problem, Hardik. You can remind me on Monday. We'll take up that question. Thank you, Kashish. Thank you, children. Thank you, Ajay Surya. I'm so blessed to read this, that you have written such a wonderful line. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yashaswini. Thank you, Hardik. Thank you, children. God bless you all. And please revise your chapter of audit and auditors and see you on Monday. Till then, goodbye, all of you. So, sir, we are done with the sessions and doubts are also taken up. Yes, sir, it's over.